So, Paul, I know that we need to have our flyer of record on this call, and I contacted if you know David Admire, he said that he should be present. Is there anybody else that we're waiting for?
No,
Or okay,
no, somebody on my side. I mean, I'm the guy.
sounds
Uh,
good.
so yeah, I'm sure the Flower Record wants to get a, if he hasn't physically seen it, he wants to look and see what you've done so that
Yeah.
he can
He,
he can make sure that there's no surprises when he shows up. So
Right.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, David, he's seen us periodically over the year. Hasn't seen the fully assembled thing, so hopefully it'll be a nice presentation for him as well.
yeah, that's fine.
Um, just curious, I guess, because he's not on the link right now. He hasn't responded to my confirmation text. Do we need to have him present throughout the entire
No,
meeting? Okay,
no, no, that's something that's between you and him.
okay,
Uh, I'm the important one for today to take a look at it and make sure that everything's pretty much ready to go, or you have a game plan for having it ready to go. You
sounds
know, I'm
good.
sure that there's no real showstoppers involved.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, of course. If his presence is not necessary, I think we're ready to begin. Before we start, have you received our technical report or any sort of references since the last progress report, or do you want us to walk you through, or do you have questions off the bat you'd like to ask us regarding our rocket?
Well, let me just hold on a minute. Let me look, see if I had anything under Rice University that was looking funny. Let's see. Charges, yeah, I think that looks good. Yeah. No, no, I don't, I don't have any real questions or anything. It's, I think let's see. Let's see, hold on a minute. Let's see. Where is it? Just bear with me here a minute. Okay, let's go find it straight off. See, there it is. Archimedes. Okay. Well, how do I get back to that? Oh, there it is. Okay, okay. Yeah, I've looked everything. I have no questions about your tech report, at least your number 3 tech report. The one you submitted back in April. Everything looks good to me. I like I like the picture of the motor fire. Brings me back to the days when I was certifying motors back in the early 2000s, so especially hybrid. So anyways, other than that, let's just take a look at your rocket and see what you're doing.
Sure, sounds good. I guess, Lavinia, if you want to just start from the bottom up, we
From
can
bottom?
talk about.
Okay. So I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that okay?
You can see the fin section.
Yeah, I can go over here. So do you want to just explain, Dan, from the boat
Sure.
tail up?
So just starting from the airframe, as you can see, we have our fins and boat tail. Starting with the boat tail, it's 3D printed material out of onyx, and it's chosen that way for ease of manufacturing, but more importantly, it has a very high melting temperature. So we're confident that even with the exhaust coming from the engine, that the boat tail will not necessarily deform immediately after ignition. even if it does deform or malfunction, this piece is sort of serving as like a one-time use, and it won't affect the performance of the flight super drastically if something were to happen to it. It's secured by bolts, so to the airframe. So, and we're not really worried about it shearing very easily because it's not taking much loads.
I don't want to interrupt too many times. So, so this item is actually, is it part of the expansion cone or is it exterior of the expansion cone?
No, it's part of the exterior. It has nothing to do with the engines.
Okay.
It goes
Okay.
fully around it.
And what material did you say it was made out of?
It's made out of onyx. There's a company called Mark Forged, which produces their own composite material, and onyx is its name, but its material specs allow it to be able to withstand the heat of the engine.
Okay, yeah, because the biggest thing about hybrid motors is the amount of IR that they emit. So if there's any direct IR on it, there's a good chance that it will sacrifice itself. But because the IR that you get out of a hybrid is much more than you get out of a solid rocket motor. So
Yeah.
we'll see. And yeah, I agree with you. Probably by the time it does any kind of deforming or anything, you'll already be into coast phase probably. So I don't think it's a big issue there. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Just to finish on that, we simulated both using the boat tail, not boat tail, and it's only a difference of 1,000 feet, which is just mainly for competition purposes, but it will still fly.
Yeah.
Um, Moving up from it, the fins are, very secured in place. We use the tip-to-tip method, so we join the fins with epoxy and then applied another layer of carbon fiber over it. And so it's very secure. We did fin flutter analysis, as you can see in our reports, and it should be good to go given the speeds that we're flying at. The only other airframe related thing is that the entire lower airframe, it's a little bit cut off, but when we move up, you'll notice that, or I guess Lavinia, you can move it.
Yeah.
It's secured right where the combustion chamber and oxidizer tank meet. It actually holds in place the injection plate and the shoulder screws that are used to hold the entire configuration together have been spec'd for, so we're not worried about any shear because the only load it's carrying is its weight. And internally, the only thing that is between the lower body tube, the combustion chamber, are a few set of wooden rings that are acting as centering rings. So therefore, we're not allowing the lower body tube to oscillate too much as the rocket ignites and coasts up. Any questions before we move to the engine related part of the rocket?
No, no, go on.
Liam, if you want to take over.
Yeah, sure. So housed in that lower body tube section is the combustion chamber. The nozzle is, around about where the boat tail is on the inside. Nothing's contacting besides those centering rings. And then it's bolted in at the uppermost part, so it has the ability to thermally expand. We're using, obviously, HTPB as a fuel and nitrous oxide as an oxidizer. And the combustion chamber is a little longer than specified right now. We tried to get as many tests in as possible, and we got a lot of good data for this flight. But there's still improvements to be made in that department. In terms of that section between the lower body tube and the oxidizer tank, that metallic portion is our oxidizer tank. It acts as the outer diameter of the airframe for that section. And in between those two is the injection bulkhead. We use a shower head injector with 7 injector holes, and that interacts with our fueling system, which you can see as the nylon tubes that are going through the bottom of the combustion chamber up into the oxidizer tank.
So they go through.
Yeah, the fueling system's a little bit strange. It fuels through the injector plate, but we have found it to be a very consistent method for fueling and allows us to get rid of any type of valve between the oxidizer tank and the combustion chamber, which really helps us save weight because these tubes directly interface with the injector plate. And then during ignition, the igniters burn away the tubes, allowing the oxidizer and fuel to mix and causing combustion.
It's
So yeah,
basically a contrail system.
pardon?
It's basically a contrail system.
Not familiar with that, but sounds
Well, yeah, uh, you got those tubes and they go through fittings and basically when it starts up, it burns the tubes and then the fittings act as your nozzles.
yeah. That's it. I didn't know there was a term for it before, so I'm gonna look that up afterwards.
Yeah, if you look up I think it's Contrail Rocketry. He certified this kind of system about 20 years ago. So there is something similar. So I'm very familiar with it because I did the certification. So
Awesome. Yeah, we didn't know that existed, but we went through a bunch of tests on our own. Every single one of our injector plates is hydrostatically tested before we put it on the engine, hydrostatically tested to 1,000 psi. And then we also, when the system was still new, we went through a cold flow to make sure it works. And then it has worked for, I think, 1, 2, 3, 6 fills since then. Two of those were hot fires.
yep. Yeah, it's a good system.
Yeah. And then so moving on to the oxidizer tank, I mean, not too much to look at on the outside, but like I said, the outer diameter of the ox tank is the airframe body for this section. And on top, it interacts. So Lavinia, if you can move towards the top, it interacts with a engine extension, which is where we are actually separating the upper and lower portions of the engine, or the upper and lower portions of the airframe for travel. We're going to have all of this assembled, right? Like everything is assembled right now, and we're going to just split it apart, put it in our trailer, and that means there should be very little setup day of. And so yeah, at the top we have a relief valve to allow for fill, get rid of all the gases that are in there to make room for liquid, as well as a PT pressure transducer to track the fill and pressure during launch, so we know exactly when's the perfect time to hit ignition. And now I think it's back to, if you don't have any other questions, I think it's back to Dan for more airframe.
No, yeah, I don't have any questions right now.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
I realized that I missed a few details about the other section, but Lavinia, you don't have to move the computer. We will be having 3 rail buttons in total for our rocket. 2 of them are going to be housed or placed onto the lower body tube, and one of them is going to be placed on the payload tube, which is the tube in front of you, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Also, just for clarity, to confirm that we're using proper body tube materials. All the carbon fiber body tubes is a 7-layer carbon fiber body tube wrapped with epoxy. Weaves are 45 degrees from apart, such that we can ensure the strength and lightness of our tubes. Moving on to the payload tube in front, and actually there's 2 parts in this. One is not seen. There's a metallic part that we've labeled the engine extension. That's actually, it's the metallic part right there that Lavinia is pointing to. That is basically allowing us to extend the mating surface of the oxidizer tank such that we have more length of leverage when attaching the upper stages of the rocket. So that's housed on top of the ox tank and goes underneath this payload tube, which has the big hole in it. You'll notice that there's 24 staggered radial holes. Those holes will be used for precision pins to be placed in, and with that, in combination with epoxy, will hold the extension and the upper stages together. They're staggered such that any stress fractures that would occur would be less likely to happen due to the fact that they're diagonally apart rather than radially apart. That's based on our previous rocket launches where we've noticed failures in body tubes because the radial holes were aligned. The big hole that you notice on that payload tube is part of our payload system. While it's not directly part of the CubeSat, it is going to be a set of cameras that are radially placed around inside the tube to support our payload project. I could talk about it more in detail if you'd like, but our project involves acquiring footage and vibrational data, and these holes serve as camera holes so we can go through the rocket. There's no major leakage of air going in and out, so we don't have to worry about unnecessary air going into our airframe as the rocket launches. This tube is also made out of carbon fiber, whereas the tubes that I'm going to talk about in a second are actually made out of a different material. And then I think there are holes for bulkheads and precision pins. Sorry, not precision pins, and bulkheads, which will allow us to connect the coupler that combines the tubes later on. Lavinia, you can move the camera a little bit up to the base section. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay. So this is our upper body tube. This houses our avionics bay, which can be defined by the two sets of radial holes in the middle where the I and D letters are. And to the sides of the avionics bay will be our drogue and main parachutes. The drogue parachute will be placed where the payload tube and the upper body tube are split. And the main chute is placed where the upper body tube and the nose cone are split. Inside the avionics, we have the avionics bay is held between two bulkheads, so then we can ensure sealing compartments for those recovery chambers because we are using CO2 and black powder as a redundant system of separation. We also use Play-Doh inside to ensure a good seal, and we've tested it multiple times via separation, and those have been successful. What is it? Not shown on the footage. I guess, Lavinia, if you take the computer and show the other side, I want to just showcase the screw switch holes if they're present. Is it present? I don't know.
Which end?
I think it's probably underneath. You don't have to worry about it, but there's
Okay.
basically a set of holes that are linearly aligned that coincide with the AV bay's screw switches. This is how we ensure that we are able to properly power and arm our igniters as well as our flight computers and avionics. So inside we're using a telemega to get GPS and activate our CO2 systems. We also have RSC2 Plus missile works that will control the black powder redundant charges. We also have a Raven 4 inside. It is not flight critical. It's only for us, sorry, a Blue Raven actually. It's only just there to collect data because unfortunately, even though it's the newest version from Raven altimeters, we want to confirm that it's actually functional for future flights. And I believe that's all we have in terms of powering. We also do have an additional switch that controls the igniter rail on the telemega. So we can power the telemega up, but we won't necessarily turn on the igniters until it's time for us to do so. The material of this body tube, of the upper body tube, is fiberglass, primarily for the reason that because the telemega is providing telemetry, which is our main form of confirmation that we are nominally receiving, we're nominally connected to our igniters and we are receiving a GPS signal. Because we need to get that telemetry data, that is why our tubes are fiberglass, but they should be able to withstand any forces because we've done material testing with these parts and we should be good. I think, and then the nose cone is left to talk about. Lavinia, if you want to just move the computer. Any other questions so far?
No.
Okay. Finally, the nose cone is fiberglass. It has a von Karman ratio of 5:1. This was commercially bought off the shelf, so no need to worry about students and manufacturing imperfections. It connects to the upper body tube via a shoulder and another bulkhead to ensure the airtightness of the recovery chamber. Above that bulkhead, we have another avionics bay that houses a featherweight GPS, which acts as our backup GPS. And yeah, that's it. So it houses it, and again, it's fiberglass nose cone, so therefore we can transmit and receive GPS frequencies from the GPS. That is, to an extent, the rocket itself. Adam over here can provide more information regarding actuation and mission control communications with the hybrid rocket, if you have any questions about that. But other than that, any final or remaining questions regarding Archimedes overall?
Uh, only thing I need to be refamiliarized is the recovery system.
Sure.
How everything interacts as far as, you know, what charges you have. I've got all the details written down, but just want to hear it
Yeah,
from
I
you.
can I can go ahead. So we're using a dual set, dual deploy system because we're separating between the payload tube and upper body tube for our drogue chute, which will deploy at apogee, and then our main chute will deploy 1,000 feet above ground level through the nose cone and upper body tube. So our shock cords are sized such that when the tubes separate, what is it? There will be decent enough length to separate the tubes from colliding into each other. And our cords are Kevlar cords rated at 8,600 pound force. So they should be more than competent in withstanding the shock loads. And also to mention, each of the chutes will have heat blankets to prevent from unnecessary burning. And the main chute has a pilot chute in order to pull it out even quicker from the tubes.
What shear pins are you using on your sections?
Pardon, say it again.
What shear pins are you using
Shear
on your
pins.
sections?
We're using number 2 pins for the drogue and number 6 for the main.
How many?
I think we're using 4 each.
You've already done ejection tests on the ground?
Yes.
Okay. Then your CO2 is primary and black powder
Yes.
backup? Okay,
Yes, we have extensive usage experience of black powders, so worst comes to worst, that will take charge.
yeah, that sounds fine. I mean, that sounds good. Let's see. Let me check. Let's see. Okay, yeah, you already done that. And you're still, so you've already flown this rocket?
This particular rocket, no. We have flown the test rocket Eureka, which has very similar features to Archimedes, and we used it as a system test rocket.
Yeah, okay, a sacrificial lamb.
And
Okay,
well, it's recovered. We can fly it again, so not too
hey,
sacrificial.
it don't hurt to have a backup as well.
Yeah.
Other than that, you know, I don't see any big issues. Look like you've got just about everything covered. Um, yeah, I can't, and your launch rail, are you providing your own launch rail or? Okay,
Yes, we're providing our own 40-foot launch rail. We actually launched that test rocket off of it. So it's already seen launch.
how is that rail held down? Through gravity or guy wires or
Yeah,
just?
we have 3 guy wires on at the 30-foot mark, as well as guy wires and everything we have it bolted down on the base. The trailer itself gets bolted with arrowhead anchors into the ground.
Okay, okay, okay. I think that's probably about all the questions I have. Have you already ordered your nitrous?
We have 1 tank already. We are figuring out the ordering process for another. So we can bring one if needed. We'll get one at Spaceport as well as a backup. We only need 1 tank to fly.
You only need 1 tank. Is that gonna be good enough for, say, 2 refills?
That's why we need the second one.
Yeah,
We haven't ordered it yet, but we know we need to.
and you know what, uh, and where would you think about ordering it in Las Cruces?
Yeah, air gas around there. something like
Okay,
that.
yeah, Air Gas, Las Cruces, they, when you order it from them, you can order it and they can deliver it out to the range along with all the other ones. Cause
Yeah.
there's 7 teams, I think 6 of them, well, 5 of them that are ordering straight away from Air Gas. And then if you order a spare, that'll be 6. And they're supposed to deliver it, I think, the Saturday before everybody starts showing up. So
Yeah, we'll likely get that. Do you know if like a spare is ordered for those teams? Do you know if like they don't end up using it? Does Airgas do anything refund taking it back, or do they not do that?
I think they will take it back and weigh it and give you technically the gas recovered. And if you
Okay.
don't use it, I mean, I don't know whether they seal them when they sell them. You know, put a wire seal on them or not. I don't know that.
I don't,
Uh,
we've used Airgas before. I don't think so. I don't know if it's different,
yeah,
but
yeah, I've done Air Products and I've done Prax Air, and I mean, they didn't have anything, but yeah, if they, I'm sure they're gonna sell it out on the dock at a certain weight, and if it comes back with the same weight and you say you didn't use it, then I don't know what the restocking fee would be on that, or whether they would just go ahead and give it back to you because I gotta pay for transport possibly anyways, so. So yeah, you'd have to talk to them.
okay, I'll reach out to them.
Okay. Uh, um, the only thing I have left, besides the hot nitrous, um, I do have a map of the site layout to where you guys are gonna be set up as far as the pad itself and the control area. And I will pass that map on to you guys so that you can look at it, so you got an idea of what you're gonna have to deal with when we set up. I don't know if you've been out there before, but they've moved the launch site. This is my first time, but they say they've moved the launch site to try to make it a little bit more friendly for you guys to be able to work on it without getting interfered by other people launching. The only caveat to that right now is possibly the 2-stagers. Because the 2-stagers are gonna be co-located, and then when they launch, there's a discussion on if they drop their boosters and their boosters end up coming down close to the nitrous pads, you know, what kind of avoidance we need to do for that. So, but other than that, I will send along that map, and then you guys will have an idea of how you're gonna be set up. Okay?
Awesome.
Do you have any other questions for me?
I
No,
think you said something in your email, or someone sent an email about nitrous cooling, but
Well,
what-
yeah, I asked him about nitrous cooling and they says, oh, well, usually maybe the teams deal with it. I says, well, because I've dealt with hybrid motors for about 25 years or so, and I have a method for cooling tanks, you know, at least for launching, or at least getting them down to a reasonable temperature. Reasonable nitrous flights for the best evaporation rate or injection rate, and for the best pressures, usually around 80, 85 degrees, no more than 85 degrees. And I know they say the ambient temperatures at White Sands in the middle of June is 90 something. And I know a couple of the teams saying, well, they'd go out there in the morning, it's not gonna be, the nitrous will not be 90, but the later on you get in the day, then of course the tank temperatures are gonna go up.
yeah.
Which will change your, motor parameters. So we do have a way of having like 55-gallon drums, either half drums or 3/4 drums, and then using ice and water for them. And then just basically covering the outside with like a moving blanket or a tarp or something just to keep the sun off of it. But the thing was I needed to find out who was really interested in that. There's been a few people asked about it. The issue with that is I'd have to go get these devices between now and when the launch starts. The only other thing that would be required is you guys would have to, using a water bath on that tank, you'd have to have tanks with dip tubes.
Yeah, that's the plan for us anyway.
Okay, okay, so that's something you have to make sure that air gas knows when you order the tank,
Okay.
is you have to tell them that you need dip tubes, because nitrous plus usually is always dip tubes. Nitrous gas, which they use for everybody else, they never have dip tubes because they're just looking for gas. They're not looking for liquid. So that's the major differences.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna I was waiting to get through these calls, these meetings and stuff, and then tally up what I'd need to do to possibly get the logistics together to get cooling out there.
Yeah, so we would be interested in that if possible. And if not, we'll bring out bags of ice ourselves.
Yeah, well, that was already part of the discussion I had with the executive director. They are supposed to have some kind of a semi-trailer out there that's going to be filled with ice for the whole event anyways, just for water and general human ability of being able to deal with 100-degree weather in the middle of the desert. So he says, well, yeah, we can see about a portion of that being used for icing down tanks, at least on flight day.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so I'll put you down as a yes for that,
Yeah,
and we'll see. Well, I'll see what I can do. See what I can do.
awesome. Thank you.
One other quick question I had. How many are you like the point of contact that all hybrid teams are going to be interacting with during the competition, or is there somebody else?
I'm the lead.
Okay.
There's a possibility there's going to be. I know one guy's indicated that he wants to be involved. I don't know him personally, so I've got to touch base with him and see what's going on. I know they had a few people last year, and a couple of those people aren't coming back. So I'd have to see if there's any other additional people. But I am the lead hybrid guy for
Got
that.
it.
That should be the final say on what's going on with the hybrids. Okay.
Awesome. Sounds good. And how many other teams, hybrid teams, will there be, if you know the
Well,
count?
there's seven teams that signed up. I think there's one team that hasn't checked in with me yet. They had a little bit of an issue about a month and a half ago, and they did submit their final report, but they haven't responded much when I was trying to figure out when they wanted to do these meetings, so I'm not sure what their status is there.
I
So,
see.
but it's gonna be at least 6 teams out there, if not a total of 7.
Okay.
Okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. So anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, appreciate your time and setting up the call and everything, and I'll get your score recorded and show that you guys should be ready to fly in the middle of June, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time as well. And we'll go and submit this recording and let us know if there's anything else we should be aware of prior to Spaceport.
Okay, sounds good. Okay,